Have you ever wondered how distances are measured on a map? It's not as straightforward as you might think. When we look at a map, we're actually looking at a complex system of measurements. Let's dive into the puzzle of distance measurement. First, let's talk about the units we use to measure distance. We have nautical miles, statute miles, and kilometers. Each of these units has its own unique set of advantages and disadvantages. But for navigation purposes, we often use the nautical mile. Why the nautical mile, you ask? Well, the nautical mile is essential because it has a unique relationship with the angular measurement of latitude on Earth. 1 nautical mile corresponds to 1 minute of arc of any great circle on the globe, assuming that Earth is a perfect sphere. Now, let's break that down a bit. A degree of latitude measured at the equator is approximately 111 kilometers. This is based on the circumference of the Earth at the equator, which is approximately 40,000 kilometers. So if we divide 40,000 kilometers by the 360 degrees in a circle, we get 111.1 kilometers per degree. But what about the statute mile, which is used in the UK? Well, it's shorter than the nautical mile. In the metric system, which is based on the number 1,000, the unit of distance is the meter. The kilometer, which is 1,000 meters, is used for long distances. The centimeter and millimeter, fractions of a meter, are used for shorter ones. And finally, we have the kilometer, the standard unit of distance in Europe and many other parts of the world. It represents 1/10,000th of the distance from the equator to the pole. So, when you're looking at a map, you're not just seeing lines and symbols, you're looking at a sophisticated system of measurements. Now, let's dive into the world of kilometers and the metric system. The metric system is a decimal-based means of measurement, hinged on the number 1,000. It's like a language that the entire world speaks, making it easier for us to understand distances, regardless of where we are. In this system, the base unit for measuring distance is the meter. For longer distances, we use kilometers, which is 1,000 meters bundled together. For shorter distances, we scale down to centimeters and millimeters. A centimeter is 100th of a meter and a millimeter is 1,000th. It's all about scaling up or down by factors of 10. Easy enough, right? But where does the meter come from? It's not just an arbitrary length someone decided on. The original definition of a meter was 1/10,000,000th of the distance from the equator to the North Pole. So, when we talk about a kilometer, we're talking about 1/10,000th of that distance. That's a pretty neat way of tying our system of measurement into the physical world, isn't it? Now, the metric system isn't just used in 1 or 2 places, it's the standard system of measurement in Europe and in many other parts of the world. From the bustling streets of Paris to the vast expanse of the Russian tundra, distances are measured in kilometers. It's a universal language that transcends borders, helping us understand the world around us. So, when you measure distance in kilometers, you're actually measuring the Earth itself. Next time you take a trip or look at a map, remember that each kilometer you travel or see represents a fraction of our planet's size. The metric system isn't just a tool for measurement, it's a way for us to connect with the world we live in. Now, isn't that something to appreciate? But what about nautical miles and statute miles? How do they fit into the picture? Let's start with the nautical mile. This unit of distance is crucial for navigation because of its relationship with the angular measurement of latitude on Earth. A nautical mile equates to 1 minute of arc of any great circle on the globe, assuming the Earth is a perfect sphere. So, if you consider the length of 1 degree of latitude measured at the equator, which is about 69 statute miles, you'll find that a nautical mile is slightly longer than a statute mile. On the other hand, the statute mile, commonly used in the United Kingdom and the United States, is shorter than a nautical mile. To give you some perspective, 1 nautical mile equals 1.15 statute miles, or 1.852 kilometers. Now let's bring in the metric system, which is based on the number 1,000. The metric unit of distance is the meter. The kilometer, which is 1,000 meters, is used for long distances, while the centimeter and millimeter are used for shorter distances. 1 meter is 1/10,000,000th of the distance from the equator to the North Pole. meaning a kilometer is 1/10,000th of that same distance. Pilots must be adept at converting between these units. While most countries measure altitude in feet, many Eastern countries use meters. Therefore, if you're using a map with heights above sea level marked in meters, but you're flying at an altitude measured in feet, you need to be able to convert accurately. Remember that 1 meter equals about 3.3 feet, and 1 nautical mile equals about 6,076 feet. So the next time you hear someone talk about nautical miles or statute miles, you'll know exactly what they mean. Finally, how do we measure distances on different map projections? Well, it's a little tricky. You see, different map projections can distort distances in unique ways. This is due to the way they represent the curved surface of the Earth on a flat plane. To tackle this, we use scales, which are essentially graduated rulers corresponding to the possible scales of the maps. With these, we can directly read distances without needing any arithmetic operations. However, in certain projections like the Mercator, due to its specific distortions, we need a specific method to determine real distances. This method involves using a divider to measure a 60-minute value on the central meridian and then successively moving this along the route. So measuring distances on a map isn't just about numbers and units. It's also about understanding the map itself. So, we've covered quite a bit of ground today, haven't we? We've delved into the intricate puzzle of measuring distances on a map, learned about the metrical system, and explored the nautical and statute miles. We've also navigated the effect of map projections on these measurements. It's a complex journey, but an exciting one. Remember, every map tells a story, and understanding how distances are measured helps us to read that story. Happy mapping!